Okay. So this week on the weekly baseball rundown, this is not This Week in Baseball. This is TWBR. I got him. I knew I would get him too. But this is talking about the undervalued guys, also rules that should have never been changed. My biggest thing is it's not the three batter rule, but there's too many things in baseball now that have changed for the better or for the worst. And Josh made a good point, and I want everyone to talk about this one. Everyone's going to have an opinion on it, I'm sure. Extra inning games. Shut up, phone. Extra inning games. Do you feel they were better with or without the Ghost Runner beforehand? Because the Ghost Runner came about 5 years ago now. And so it's now been 5 years since we started seeing runners on second base. And thankfully, they got rid of the 7 inning doubleheader. That was a big mistake. But, okay. Brandon, I'm going to have you take the floor first. Ghost Runner, 5 years now have come and gone. Do you think it's better or worse for baseball?
It's definitely worse. I hate the Ghost Runner. Even in the regular season, we absolutely have to go back to the traditional extra inning games. It's basically like overtime in football. It's a brand new game. Have nobody on base. Use whoever you have left in your bullpen, and first, well, obviously, because I mean, if the away team scores in the top half, then the a team in the bottom half has a chance. But no, this Ghost Runner thing needs to go away. I understand it makes the games go by quicker, kind of like how the pitch clock has done for the game, but this Ghost Runner thing absolutely needs to go. I hate it.
That's a valued opinion right there. I've made my opinion heard. I've been here nor there on it. It's always that, and we'll get to the pitch clock in a moment, but the Ghost Runner doesn't add to ball games. Because there was a game not too long ago, a couple of years ago, where it went 18 innings because it was 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, and it's worse than ping pong when you got guys knocking each other in, and then they're just like, oh hey buddy, let's score a run, and then go back to no. Johnny, your take on the Ghost Runner?
Yeah, it is pretty bad. I mean, it's kind of crazy, that it was actually instituted in the first place. It just kind of messes up the strategy and tempo of most of the games these days.
Honestly, before when it first came out in 2020, I thought it was going to be better for baseball. I didn't hate it 5 years ago because I was expecting more, more small ball, more strategy. No, they didn't. They then instituted the three batter rule, which we'll talk about too. But it's the fact that now you got guys, and the White Sox especially, and I'm not saying this to be rude, but when Garrett Crochet first came up in 2020 and they started him during the playoffs, that really might have affected his trajectory. It's not the Ghost Runner. It's whether or not you want to bring a rookie up immediately from minor league ball when there's no minor league baseball to be played.
I'll tell you something else. The other con about the Ghost Runner rule as well, the whole fact that you get a free runner. But the only pro I can think of is that it does speed up games, but even that might be considered a controversial take.
I'm sorry, Chief, but Joe West retired, so I don't think anybody can complain about baseball being too slow anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe West wouldn't move 5 feet to call a runner out anyways, so there you go.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the man to my. I got to remember this is mirrored. I got to go to Josh here. Josh, you let us know a little bit.
It's actually the other way from my end.
Yeah, and there's a finger for you too.
Oh Lord.
You're number one. Josh, go ahead.
The Ghost Runner, I understand why they did it in 2020, thinking it was going to speed up the game, but the pitch clock has already done that. They've solved their problem with speeding the game up with the pitch clock. And I do have some issues with the pitch clock sometimes, but it is what it is. But the Ghost Runner adds nothing. There's no strategy to it. They don't use small ball anymore with it. So get rid of it. Like Brandon said, it's a fresh start. Just like football. It's like a new game. Here we go.
Yeah, I like that. I really do because it harkens back to another topic. because I know David's just here. He's on vacation, so I'm not going to bother him with anything right now. But in the meantime, the next thing was the 3-batter rule was supposed to be another pace of play thing. It was supposed to be, it was 3-batter rule and mound visit institutions because people got sick of watching Red Sox Yankee games. The longest 9-inning game was 4.5 hours. I think it was 4 hours and 43 minutes between the Yankees and the Red Sox for 9 innings of baseball.
I hate watching Red Sox Rays games, particularly. Like, so many mouth visits. It takes so long, too. Both of those series.
It's too bad Kevin Cash didn't have the authority to just leave, what's his name? Blake Snell in that time, didn't he, during the World Series?
Yeah, Game 6.
I was watching that on television at the point where he pulled him. I like the Rays. I like the Rays once the A's got eliminated. I wanted the Rays to be World Series champions like they made it back in 2008. Don't take the freaking pitcher out. Sabermetrics or otherwise. You got your best guy on the mound. You got your best guy out there throwing his best stuff, throwing 62 pitches, going through 6 innings.
I know.
Leave it alone.
It's way different than 2003. That's a different debate, but this one is no debate.
No, if you want to go that far, I'll start getting amped up and everything about 2003 versus 2020, but we're not going down that road. Pedro versus Snell. But the 3-batter rule, I want to hear your guys' take. I'm going to go with Johnny first this time because there used to be specialists. Left-handers face 1 batter, right-handers face 1 batter, and then they pull them, and then they go to another guy, and then another one. That's why there used to be 13 pitchers and 12 hitters. But Johnny,
here's the thing. The rule does have its pros and cons. I think the pro is it kind of keeps people from making frequent changes because of that. But the con is that the strategy of the game is kind of much more thinking oriented, so to speak.
Well, I agree with your statement. This is the way I see it. The 3-batter rule is not a bad thing. But because of the 26-man rosters, which they also instituted in 2020, you've got one extra guy, whether you could have a pitcher or a hitter on the roster. You can go 13, 13, 12, 14. You want to have at least 3 guys, not counting the 8 in the field because the pitcher fields their own position, but they're a different part of it. But you got 8 guys in the field, and you want at least 4 guys on that bench. 1 pinch hitter, 1 pinch runner, 1 defensive replacement, and 1 guy who can play everywhere. You want your utility man. That's the way I see it. 12 and 13, 13 and 13, whatever. Brandon, 3-batter rule, do you like it, or should it have not been included?
I kind of have a love-hate relationship with it. So it does take away from the strategy of managers and how they manage their bullpens. I've been like during the off season, I usually go back and watch like 90s World Series games because especially in those like games 5, 6, and 7, it was really cool to see the managers and how they manage their bullpens, how they manage matchups, individual matchups at that. But with the 3-batter minimum now, with it being instituted, the part of me that loves it is that, the managers really then have to think, what is the one pitcher that I can use that can get these 3 batters out, whether it's a lefty, a right, a switch, however the lineup may shape up. So they really got to think, who is my lockdown guy for these three batters?
I like
Does
that.
he have trust in them?
I like that. I like that a lot because now there's not one true guy in that road, whether it be because the way it used to be was you'd have your 3 best pitchers in the rotation during the ALDS in a best of 5. So if it got to a game 5, you'd have a guy like Maddox who would be who'd be pitching game 1, and then you'd have him pitch game 4. But if once you get to game 5, you take your game 2 starter and possibly put him in the bullpen because you don't know how long the series is going to go. That was an advantage then. Now you can't do that because of pitch counts and everything else. They're writing this stuff down in their scouting reports. It's just like, okay, so-and-so threw so many pitches. This is where I draw the line. And Josh, I'm not going to try and eat into your time.
No, you're
But
good.
2001, and I know nobody thought I was going to bring this up, 2001 World Series, the Yankees and the Diamondbacks.
Horribly managed.
Yes. He came in Game 7, and he threw and kept them in that game so the Yankees wouldn't get anybody on base. You had your best guy who threw over 100 pitches the night before, had pitched into his arm, fell off. And I'm getting goosebumps on the back of my head and the back of my neck. That is the magic that baseball has. Josh?
Well, like Brandon, it's a love-hate relationship because I understand why they put the rule in, but I don't agree with it because I've seen managers go through an entire bullpen because of that 3-batter rule. If their starting pitcher's having a bad night, he's already got the bullpen. He has no bullpen by the next game because he's used everybody he has. I shouldn't say he or she, depending on how managers go anymore, but you can't. I think the 3-batter rule needs to go because again, we're running through our bullpens, and if you've got a pitcher that's having a bad night, whether he's a starter or a reliever, you want to get that guy out of there. And with the 3-batter rule, you can't do that unless he faces 3 batters. So you're cutting the manager's hands off, in my opinion, on that.
God fucking damn it! Oh, sorry, I had to get those 3 words out. And David's going to have to bleep those when we get through this. But I hate the micromanaging of bullpens in baseball. It's not the 3-batter rule. It's not the 5-man rotation. It's the fact that they're killing the spirit of baseball with all these goddamn rules. Excuse my language, but the baseball purist in me is starting to come out because I'm getting so damn irritated with situational stuff. It used to be lefty-lefty, righty-righty, percentages, and that's fine. But I don't want my best pitcher being left on a pitch count. What happened to 100 pitches and then you get him out? Because I just saw it the other night with JT Ginn. They should have pulled him after that first inning where he gave up 4 runs and threw over 60 pitches. You don't need to at that point, you don't need to waste the guy if your offense is not hitting and getting back into the game behind him. Why are you killing these young arms? This is not me trying to be on both sides of the fence. Why are you killing these young arms just because you want to ride them out and then not have your bullpen eat them? There's a reason that most guys, they aren't appearing in these games that had more games pitched. There's no such thing as a Mike Marshall anymore who pitched in 108 games in a season. That was a guy, his arm was a rubber band. He was still throwing, and his arm didn't fall off. He didn't need Tommy John surgery. It's just the fact that they don't get these kids into conditioning and weight training and development and everything else, flexibility training. Let them take yoga. I know that seems like it's not a manly thing. I took yoga and improved my flexibility. It helps with the body. You take these training sessions seriously and you last longer. Nolan Ryan pitched till he was 46, and they showed him in the gym reading. He was reading a book. He was working out and going back and forth. He threw his last pitch in Major League Baseball, and he hurt his arm. He tore his UCL 98 miles an hour.
Joseph,
was his last pitch ever at 46. He tore his UCL throwing that pitch.
Joseph.
So I'm not saying use and abuse. I'm saying then Tampa Bay actually had this right. This will be one of the rare times. the opener was not a bad idea. And this is what'll be the next question.
May I jump in for a sec?
Yeah.
That Nolan Ryan's last pitch ever was kind of a bittersweet memory because it came against my Seattle Mariners, ironically. The
Also,
Kingdom
CC
crowd cheered for him to let him know, to recognize all that he'd done, and the great career that he had. It was a very bittersweet moment.
September
Also-
26, 1993. He never pitched again.
Also,
Go ahead,
CC Sabathia got hurt on his last pitch at his final
Yeah,
game
he
2.
because they were down to Boston in that series, and he just kept
No,
throwing.
it was Houston, 2019.
Yeah, he was in the playoffs. He did not care anymore. He had 19 seasons under his belt. He had gone through hell and back, and he was not a cocky man. He was 6'7", 295 pounds, pumping gas even as he got older. He lost all the weight. He lost all of his velocity. But it's the guys who leave it all out there that give me the best feeling. But back to what I was saying. The opener. They had something there. But I want to know how you guys feel about it. Should there be... But opener and follower. There's a guy who starts the game, and then there's a bulk guy. I like the idea. You have one of your better pitchers. You still save your bullpen, but you have these guys go 5-6 innings that are trying to become a starter, and then you keep going. Brandon, what do you think about that?
I like the opener idea. I just think that some teams just have different philosophies about it. Like, let's take Mason Miller, for example. Mason Miller is one of the best closers in all of baseball, but I think his destiny is going to be a starter in the next several years. The Padres have control of him over the next, I think, 2 or 3 seasons after this.
3 seasons, 2029.
3 seasons. There you go. Granted, I really haven't seen the Padres use openers before, but they're going to eventually have Mason Miller go maybe 3-4 innings until he eventually, again, I think becomes a starter. I like the opener, and it's cool to see how different teams approach it.
I want the other team to be scared out of their minds, because there was one time where there's been more than one time it failed. Wade Miley against the Rockies 2019 wild card series did not go well because it's Wade Miley. Wade Miley's throwing 86. I have nothing against a junk ball pitcher throwing 86, but these guys are licking their chops because they see 86, a changeup at 75. All they have to do is wait for the cookie, and your whole ball game is over.
You crushed it.
Exactly. Johnny, opener and then follower, how do you feel about that?
Well, both ideas are very good if they are used properly. Basically, it's not supposed to be used every time. It really should be used whenever the situation really calls for it, for sure.
Simple and to the point. I like that, because
I'll tell you something, that the opener and follower role, it's not for everyone, though, however.
No, obviously not. And that's the thing. If you got a guy who's able to start every 5 days, yes, but it's when you have a guy get hurt. That was always it. And the main purpose I see for the opener and follower, a doubleheader, where you've just played a long game. You've got that 27th man now. They call it a 27th man. It used to be the 26th. Now it's the 27th. You go get a guy, a pitcher, a young arm, and you have him start a few innings, just an inning or two, just to get his arm warmed up and everything else. Then you bring out that big veteran, that angry veteran who wanted that starting role, who wanted to start that game. Have him come out throwing 110, 115, just fireball after fireball. And then once you have the lead, pull him, and then he can wait 2 days and he'll be fine again. Josh?
Well, and like Johnny said, if they use it correctly, it works. I've seen it done at least twice this season with the Cubs under Craig Counsell because he wanted to get a young arm out there. The only part I disagree with is if the pitcher is doing well, whether it be the young guy or the older guy, if he's throwing good stuff, leave him be.
Yeah, I see where that's coming from because the Cubs have a guy who used to be a starter, and I don't think it'll ever happen again. I think he's at the point in the career where it won't happen. Give Drew Pomeranz a chance, just a couple innings. Have the crafty guy go out there. You don't have to have the hardest thrower.
Yeah, I would.
Drew Pomeranz out there.
I totally agree.
And then have your best pitcher, not your best reliever, but your best pitcher. And I'm going to specify the term pitcher. A pitcher is a guy who pitches the ball, not like a pitch like a soccer field. But there's a difference between a pitcher and a thrower. A thrower throws whatever he feels like. He doesn't listen to his catcher. He doesn't listen to his coach. He doesn't listen to his manager. And then they overthrow, hyperextending the muscles in the UCL all the way up because they're throwing too many hard balls. My main example of that would be Jordan Hicks now. Not Jordan Hicks 5-6 years ago when he was good, when he was throwing 104 and throwing sliders at 97, 98. That's a guy who ruined his own career. Not saying his career is over, but he ruined his own career by not working on better mechanics, because mechanics will get you a long way in this game. That's why I think the opener and follower rule, it doesn't have to be it could be every 2 weeks if you have some issue or you have a long homestand coming up. You have Chicago, who has their Iowa club down there. They call up a guy from Iowa who can get rookie experience, or I think Chicago still has the Charlotte Knights still. I think that's their AAA team.
I think I'd have to look.
Well, I think Brandon would know. That's why I was just like...
Oh, yeah, that's AL.
Yeah, the Charlotte Knights are still down there for the White Sox, Brandon? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I think of as it's the teams that are nearby and on homestands. Use the opener follower. That's what I think of, because I'm not exactly sure, because I think the Mariners still have Tacoma as theirs. I really don't. It's not that I don't follow minor league baseball. It's still there. But it's when you're close to home. Employ that once every 2 weeks. It'll get you through these long stretches, these long road trips and homestands. And now for my last one. Pitching your closer 3 days in a row. Because it's been done. I'm talking about a 3-game series where older pitchers like Keith Folk when he was with the White Sox, Kaz Sasaki when he was with the Mariners, these older guys. Jesus Christ. Alphonse Seiko when he was with the Cubs. Those older closers where you could throw them 3 games in a row and then you had the off day. Now they throw 20 pitches. They don't pitch for another 5 days like a starter. That's what kills me.
And it's become a real problem for a lot of teams in their bullpens. It's a big problem, or getting to be.
Okay. My question to you is, does your setup guy, because I'm not talking about closers now. Do you use your setup guy as your secondary closer? I don't care about the rest of the bullpen. I'm talking about your setup man. Your setup man is your secondary closer now, if your closer threw more than 20 pitches. Brandon, setup man, second closer?
Absolutely. I mean, I just go back to the 2021 with the White Sox when we acquired Craig Kimbrell.
Oh, God. David, take over real quick.
Yeah, so I go back to 2021. Yeah, so for a majority of the time, Craig Kimbrell was our setup guy and Liam Hendriks was the closer, which I thought was the way to go. But there were some points where Craig Kimbrell was giving up runs, especially heading into the postseason. So then we kind of switched it up a bit. We had Liam Hendricks be the setup guy, and then Craig Kimbrell be the closer. But it just depends on the makeup of your bullpen. But I definitely do like the idea of the setup man being your second closer if your top guy can't get it done.
Look at the Padres.
It's like an insurance policy.
Yes, and look at the Padres right now. They have like, I mean,
A billion guys in their bullpen.
For closers like
Mason Miller, Robert Suarez.
Yeah, and look at the Phillies. They got an extra closer just recently at the trade deadline as well.
Especially considering Jose Alvarado suspended.
Yeah. You gotta have more than one closer. It's about that time because, like, what if, like, it's a 4-game series, Red Sox, Yankees, you only need your closer for the first 3 games, but then you need that extra closer just in case if something happens in the final game or whatever the case, or if it's a 3-game series and your main closer pitched 3 games in a row on the series finale, the series before the 3-game series and all that. So you gotta need that extra closer, and I agree with you on that one, Brendan.
I'm sorry about that. Where did we leave off?
Brandon was talking about the extra closer thing.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Brandon.
Oh, he finished. So.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I'm sure you made a very great point and everything else because you should always have another setup man, another closer. Because if you don't, you're just throwing some random newbie. I'm not saying a guy who's never closed. A lot of teams had to, yeah. But go ahead, Johnny.
Well,
I'll be back, David.
Well, you all have a very valid point, you guys. Yes, a second closer is very good. It's kind of like an insurance policy, kind of a plan B, if you will, in the event that your closer is not effective or just went on a pretty long outing. That's when a second closer would come in handy. You know, it's as I said, it's kind of like a plan B. You know, a fallback option, if you will.
Yeah, there used to be setup mans like back in the day, but I never really seen much anymore except like the Padres and the Phillies recently. So I agree with you, but and also the Dodgers. The Dodgers don't count because they get injured all the time, so they're out of this conversation completely.
It also gives your bullpen much more flexibility as well, too.
Yes, and it's a very important thing. It's especially when you go to October, you need that extra closer just in case if it's like Game 7 of the ALCS or something, and your starter goes 7 innings, and what if one of your closers get injured, something like that. So yeah, Josh, you go ahead.
Well, I think having the setup man as another closer is a necessity nowadays in that bullpen because you don't know what's going to happen. That closer could get, knock on wood, if they get injured, you have no backup for a closer. And I also think the bullpens, the rest of the guys in the bullpen might want to start practicing for that role, being either a setup man or a closer as a backup for the backup.
Like, what if your pitcher can only go 5.5 innings and you need that?
That's a problem.
Okay. The setup man should always be your second closer. The way I feel about it is this. If you manage to have one solid closer, sign another one, sign a backup. No, I heard him go. But this is from what I'm saying. I know we're coming up on 30 minutes, so I'll hurry up here. But you should always have that secondary closer. Secondary options, I don't care how old the guy is. But always have a veteran closer and have your young guy. Mentorship. Mentor your guys. So that way you have a guy there, and then you say, okay, young guy, go get him. That's baseball. We went over what we had here. We went over closers, 3-batter rule. Next time, we'll probably talk about the undervaluement of pinch hitters, pinch runners, and strategy in baseball. Because pinch runners and pinch hitters are undervalued guys. Not used very much anymore. Just ask the Giants and Bob Melvin. Bob Melvin has been the bottom. He's been at number 30 every single year in least amount of pinch hitters and pinch runners used. He doesn't substitute guys out in spite of the fact that he's got all those guys on the bench. If there's less than 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth and I got a slow guy, my big guy who's just gotten on base, like a Frank Thomas type of guy, David Ortiz type of guy. If I got like Pablo Ozuna from when the White Sox were in the World Series, they had Pablo Ozuna, the small guy who used to pinch run. That's what I want. If I got a guy like a Lenny Harris on my bench, he's not guaranteed to get a hit, but he's guaranteed to have a quality bat. I want that guy up at the plate. I'm not saying everything has to be calculated, sabermetric, strategic. I just want a manager who's not going to sit on his hands or have that iPad. I get it. Film study now is a prime part of baseball. Put the iPad down and think like a human being. Don't use video and just be like, oh, in this scenario, and she's like, I will snap that damn thing over my knee. Use the brain you were given. Think about, oh, hey, I'm an ex-Major League player. I should know what the hell's going on. I wouldn't be asleep at my post if I was a manager. That's all from me. These guys, they're very knowledgeable. They're very wonderful as always. I will check with David about next week because I have a very weird schedule coming up. But this has been the Weekly Baseball Rundown. And make sure you have a secondary closer, an opener, and a follower. Good night, guys.